students, welcome to the second lecture of MOOC course on Controlled Drug Delivery System, which is Unit 1 of the subject Novel Drug Delivery System BP 7040. Myself, Dr. Chitra Gupta, Associated Professor, Lloyd Institute of Management and Technology, Greater Noida. In my last lecture, we have discussed about the concept of controlled drug delivery system. We discussed as to what is meant by controlled drug delivery system, followed by the rationale for designing such controlled drug delivery systems, and then advantages, disadvantages and challenges in designing of such systems. By now, you must have understood that the most important aspect in designing such systems is the control of release of drug from the dosage form. In the challenges also, in the last point I had mentioned that it is a challenge to obtain the drug release at a constant rate so as to get the desired therapeutic levels. So, release of drug from controlled drug delivery systems is the most important aspect of design of such systems. So, on the basis of the release of drug from the systems, these systems have been classified into three different categories. The first one is the passive pre-programmed drug delivery systems. We have active pre-programmed drug delivery systems, and the third category are the active self-programmed drug delivery system. In case of passive pre-programmed drug delivery system, the drug is released at a predetermined rate independent of the environmental factors. That is, the system has inbuilt in it the drug release characteristics, and these drug release will not change according to the needs of the body or according to the changes in the environment. In case of active pre-programmed drug delivery system, the release rate is regulated by a source external to the body. That is, these delivery systems deliver the drug at a required dose. A metered amount of drug is released at definite time intervals. That is why they are called as active pre-programmed drug delivery system, because they are able to release a measured quantity of drug. This is best exemplified with the help of metered insulin pumps, which can release definite dose of drugs at regular time intervals. The third type of systems are the active self-programmed or bioresponsive systems. These systems are also called as intelligent drug delivery system. Intelligent drug delivery systems. Why intelligent drug delivery systems? Because they have an inherent capacity to sense the changes in the drug blood levels or the changes in the environment and accordingly modify the drug release from these systems. They are also called as modulated drug delivery systems. They release the drug according to the information gathered by the sensor with the changing biological environment, and these are best exemplified by insulin release pumps triggered by changes in blood sugar level. Here the dosage form is so designed that it can sense the changes in the blood sugar level and accordingly modulate the amount of insulin being released by the dosage form. That is why they are also called as intelligent drug delivery systems, or they have been also referred to as smart drug delivery systems. Going on to the kinetics of drug release, it has been found that these types of drug delivery systems exhibit three different drug release patterns. The first pattern of drug release is zero order drug release. Here the drug is released at a constant rate till the device is exhausted. Mathematically, we can represent it as dmt by dt is equal to k, where dmt by dt represents the rate of drug release and k represent the first order release rate constant, the zero order release rate constant. If we plot the rate of drug release versus time for such a system, the graph will be a straight line parallel to x axis, indicating that it is a zero order release. Next are the systems which exhibit first order release kinetics. Here the release rate is proportional to the residual concentration of the active ingredient in the device. As we all know, first order processes are those processes which are directly proportional, whose rate is directly proportional to the concentration. So, here we are talking about the drug release, and the drug release rate is signified by dmt by dt. So, this drug release rate is directly proportional. We can say that the drug release rate is directly proportional to the residual concentration of the drug in the device, means m0 minus mt, where m0 represents the initial amount of drug in the device and mt represents the amount of drug released in time t. So, certainly m0 minus mt will give us the amount remaining in the device after time t. We say the drug release rate from such systems is directly proportional to the residual concentration of the drug in the device. Hence, we can remove this proportionality symbol by incorporating a constant k, and this constant is called as the first order rate constant for drug delivery. Upon integration of this equation, we get an equation like this: mt by dt is equal to k m0 e to the power of minus kt, which simply implies that the release declines exponentially with the depletion of active ingredients. That is, when we plot the rate of drug release versus time, the graph is somewhat like this, showing exponential decline. In the release rate with progress of time. The third pattern of drug release that is observed with these dosage forms is square root of time or T half release. Here the release rate is linear with the reciprocal of square of time, as can be shown with the help of the equation dmt by dt is equal to k by under root of t, that is square root of time. In these systems, the release rate remains finite even after the device approaches exhaustion. Graphically, this can be represented like this: dmt by dt, that is the drug release rate from the system, versus time graph. The graph will look somewhat like this. The parallel line indicates a constant rate of drug release even after exhaustion of the device. So, these are three different drug release patterns observed with these systems. So, before intriguing into the designing of controlled drug delivery systems, we must understand the factors influencing the design of controlled release products. The first category of factors are the drug properties. The physico-chemical properties of the drugs like solubility, its stability, its partition coefficient, charge and protein binding all have a significant effect on designing of such systems. The second important factor influencing the design of controlled release products is the route of drug delivery. Means that a controlled drug delivery product designed for parenteral or oral application or transdermal applications will be significantly different. The parameters to be considered, say, for an oral controlled drug delivery systems will be different as compared to the parameters to be considered in designing of a parenteral controlled drug delivery system. For example, in case of a parenteral controlled drug delivery system, the main requirements of the drug delivery system would be sterility, isotonicity, isosmoticity, etc. Whereas, when we are designing an oral controlled drug delivery systems, there are many physiological constraints. For example, the gastrointestinal motility, the blood supply, the hepatic first pass metabolism and also sequestration of small foreign particles by liver and spleen. So, all these parameters must be considered while designing the controlled drug delivery products for different routes of drug administration. The third factor is the target site. As indicated in my first lecture, one of the important applications of controlled drug delivery systems is the targeted drug delivery, that is, designing such systems which are site specific, which can deliver the drug only to the target site, hence avoiding any drug delivery to other tissues and minimizing the toxicity to the other tissues. This is very useful in avoiding delivery to non-target tissues and avoiding tissue toxicities. This can be accomplished by making use of certain polymers, specific polymers, which will help in concentrating the drug or delivery of the drug to a particular tissue. They will localize the drug into a particular tissue by means of certain carriers. Next factor is acute or chronic therapy. The duration of therapy for which the delivery of drugs is desired is also an important parameter to be considered in designing. In case of acute therapy, the drug administration is required for a comparatively shorter duration of time as compared to chronic therapy. So, the required dose incorporated and the designing of the delivery system would be much different for acute conditions and chronic conditions. For example, the design of a contraceptive implant which is intended to deliver the drug for a period of say 1 year would be much different from that of an antibiotic treatment controlled drug delivery systems for treating acute microbial infections or microbial attacks. Another important parameter to be considered is the disease, that is the disease state of the individual. The pathophysiology of the individual influences the pharmacokinetics and therapeutic activity of the drug. For example, in case of hepatic or renal disorders, the drug elimination is reduced. As a result, the plasma blood levels attained with same dose of drug are very high. So, while designing such controlled drug delivery products, one has to consider the disease state or the pathophysiological state of an individual. Next parameter is the patient condition. In the patient related factors in biopharmaceutics, we have studied how the position of the body, the intake of the meals, the obesity and all these patient related factors are important determinants in drug pharmacokinetics. So, here also in case of controlled drug delivery products, the product performance is directly affected by patient conditions like whether the patient is ambulatory, he is bedridden, he is obese or gaunt or old or young. The release from intramuscular depot preparations varies in ambulatory and bedridden patients. This has been found experimentally and has been a topic of research amongst the scientists. So, having discussed the factors affecting the design of controlled drug delivery products, we can focus on the drug properties, the most important factors, the two most important factors determining the therapeutic efficacy of these controlled drug delivery systems or affecting the design of controlled drug delivery systems are the drug properties and the route of administration. In my next lecture, we will explore the drug properties in depth, but before going on to that, we must understand some of the properties or characteristics of a drug candidate which make them unsuitable for constituting controlled drug delivery systems. The first point here is that drugs which are not absorbed significantly from the lower intestines, for example, riboflavin. For making controlled drug delivery preparations for oral route, we have to see to it that the drug is absorbed throughout the length of the gastrointestinal tract. So, if a drug is not absorbed significantly from lower intestines, then it is not a suitable candidate for formulating controlled drug delivery systems. Secondly, drugs with short biological half-lives. Biological half-life of the drug basically implies the time period during which the drug plasma levels become exactly half of the initial drug. That is, half of the drug is eliminated from the body, and this has significant influence on drug dosing interval and drug dosing frequency. So, drugs which have got significantly shorter biological half-lives, say less than 1 hours, like penicillin G and furosemide, they are not unsuitable candidate for making controlled drug delivery systems, because these drugs will require more number of doses to be incorporated in a single controlled drug delivery device, which will not be feasible. Next category or drugs which are not suitable for making oral controlled drug delivery formulations are drugs with long biological half-lives, say greater than 12 hours. Drugs like diazepam and phenytoin, which have got very long biological half-lives, these drugs are automatically sustained in their drug release pattern. So, such drugs offer no clear advantage of formulating them as controlled drug delivery systems and hence are not considered suitable for formulating oral controlled drug delivery systems. Next, large drugs whose dose is large, whose single dose is large, say greater than 1 gram. Drugs like sulfonamides whose dose is large, because we need to incorporate several doses of a drug in a single controlled drug delivery formulation. So, in that case a single controlled drug delivery device would need to contain a very high amount of drug which is not feasible. So, therefore, such categories of drugs are not considered suitable for formulating oral controlled drug delivery systems. Next category of drugs are drugs which have got cumulative action and undesirable side effects. So, there are certain drugs which are not completely eliminated from the body. Such drug substances keep on accumulating in the body and cause cumulative toxicity, and hence they are liable to have undesirable side effects. Moreover, drugs with narrow therapeutic index. Now, what is therapeutic index? Therapeutic index is the ratio between LD50 and ED50. LD50 signifies lethal dose in 50% of the population. ED50 signifies effective dose in 50% of the population. So, drugs with narrow therapeutic index, that is therapeutic index less than 10, are considered as not suitable candidates for making controlled drug delivery systems. If you remember the plasma concentration versus time profile, we had defined two drug blood levels, minimum effective concentration and maximum safe concentration. And this difference between the minimum effective and maximum safe concentration was called as the therapeutic range of the drug. Broader the therapeutic range of the drug, safer is the drug administration. Narrower the therapeutic range of the drug has got more risk associated with fluctuations in plasma drug blood levels. So, drugs which have got cumulative actions or have got undesirable side effects or have got narrow therapeutic index, that is their safety margin is not broad, these drug candidates are considered as unsuitable for formulating controlled drug delivery preparations. These are exemplified by phenobarbital and digoxin. Next category of drugs which are again unsuitable for making oral controlled drug delivery preparations are the drugs which require precise dose titration to the needs of individual patients. For example, anticoagulants, cardiotonics, antithyroid drugs. Now, what is this dose titration? Dose titration means adjustment of the doses as per the needs of the patient. Some drug types are required to be taken for a long period. Say a person has undergone a cardiac surgery, he is required to take anticoagulants for a long period of time. But these anticoagulants, if their plasma levels are very high, can lead to hemorrhage, which may become life threatening as well. So, what is done? On monthly basis, these individuals are required to undergo a test in order to assess the blood clotting capacity. Thus, according to the blood clotting capacity of that patient, the level or the dose of the anticoagulants is adjusted for that patient. This particular aspect of adjusting the dose of a drug as per the patient's current requirement is called as dose titration. Such dose titration will not be possible if we make an oral controlled drug delivery system for such drugs. Therefore, such drugs are considered as an unsuitable candidate for making controlled drug delivery formulations. Next class of drugs are the drugs which offer no clear advantages for sustained release formulation. For example, drugs with excessively low aqueous solubility. This is exemplified by griseofulvin. The aqueous solubility of such drugs is so low that they are never able to attain a level in the blood or plasma which is sufficient for causing passive diffusion or for drug permeation into the target site. So, therefore, such drugs will offer no advantage when they are formulated as controlled drug delivery formulations. Lastly, drugs which are actively absorbed due to an absorption window. Now, what is this absorption windows? There are certain areas in the intestines which are enriched with carriers, and these carriers help in increasing the rate of absorption of such drugs. These carriers are although very specific, and carriers for only some drugs are there in the intestines. So, these kinds of drugs which are actively absorbed due to presence of carriers or absorption window in the intestines, they are also a poor candidate for formulating controlled drug delivery formulations, and these are exemplified by vitamins. So, friends, we have studied about what are controlled drug delivery systems, their advantages, their disadvantages, their limitations, and currently in this lecture we have discussed about how the release of drug from a controlled drug delivery system is an important aspect. On the basis of release rate, we have classified them into three categories: the passive pre-programmed drug delivery systems, the active pre-programmed drug delivery systems, and active self-programmed drug delivery systems, which are also called as intelligent drug delivery systems. We further said that these type of drug delivery systems can exhibit three different types of drug release patterns, exemplified by zero order kinetics, first order kinetics, and square root of time kinetics. This was followed by an extensive discussion on factors affecting the design of controlled drug delivery systems, in which we had focused on several factors which affect the design of drug delivery system, controlled drug delivery systems, namely the drug properties, the route of drug delivery, which are the two most important factors affecting the design of such preparations and need to be critically considered while designing the sustained release formulations or controlled drug delivery systems. Apart from this, the disease state of person, the need of the acute or chronic therapy, the patient's physiology, these are also important and need to be considered while designing such systems. And lastly, we discussed about some of the drug candidates which are not suitable for making controlled drug delivery systems, like drug candidates which are not absorbed uniformly throughout the length of the GIT, which is a prerequisite for a drug to be capable of being formulated as oral controlled drug delivery system. Secondly, drugs with excessively long or short biological half-lives, and then drugs with narrow therapeutic index or tendency to cause cumulative toxicity, then drugs which require dose titrations. That kind of drugs are also not suitable for making controlled drug delivery formulations. So, with that, I will wind up for this session. Thank you very much for your patient listening.